This is just, guys, for those of you tuning in, I mean, this is really intimate conversation with ICT, and it's a really wonderful thing that Michael has chosen to spend time with us today. So, contextualize the moment, pretty please. Gerald, you're up. What's going on, buddy?
Thank you so much. So I have basically two questions. One, ICT, how much weight do you place on, basing on today's lecture that we had today on the quadrants or those weeks, how much weight do you place on weekly PDRAs versus daily PDRAs when we are looking at these daily weeks? I know we've focused on the 20-day look back, but now just a curious question. And then the other question is, mine is not impulsiveness, mine is tilt. After I take a loss, I go into tilt, and it affected me on Thursday. How can I overcome that? Thank you.
Okay, how much influence do I place on weekly PDRAs? Well, they're there, I mean, obviously, and they don't form as often and as frequently, but I try to teach in a way where the daily chart is high enough that everybody, no matter what style of trading they're using, whether it's scalping, day trading, swing trading, position trading, short-term trading, the daily chart will guide you. If you're going to be a fanatic about it and you have more time to invest in analysis and whatnot, you'll be able to see it in weekly charts, and you'll be able to see it in monthly charts and quarterly charts and yearly charts and multi-year charts. And TradingView gives the opportunity to really fashion your time frame to whatever you want it to be. And you're not limited to whatever time frame somebody else talks about, or even me. So it's not a deficiency on the part of the weekly chart PDRAs that I'm not talking about them because they're not as strong or they're not useful, because they are. I just try to use a nice, obvious, higher time frame daily chart. That's the lowest one I would consider, because I've taught many times the weekly chart. I've talked about the monthly chart when I was teaching top-down analysis. If you want to go back to those time frames, there's certainly nothing wrong with it. In fact, it'll make it better for you because you'll have a much stronger conviction behind it. And I believe what I just spoke about in terms of impulsiveness, anytime anyone goes on tilt, it's impulsiveness. So it's either you're trying to correct a problem right away, which is a loss, or if you missed the trade that you were waiting on and it just took off without you, and you know you shouldn't chase it, but you just can't let it go. You just jump in there and just get a piece of it, and you think to yourself, well, it shouldn't come back here. I won't use a stop loss because that way I won't have to worry about getting stopped out. I'll just endure it and hold on to it. And you end up wrecking yourself. You start doing things that are completely outside the spectrum of the model, the characteristics of a good risk manager, and you do everything wrong, which is the epitome of being impulsive, being reckless. And I don't believe I said anything that can't be applied with the other caller than what this would be for you. Like, everything I said there pretty much is the same thing. Maybe it's not an external. Maybe it's not someone that's externally that you're trying to impress, but you're trying to live up to personal expectations that are way too high for your present skill set. And that's not something that's a permanent thing, but mostly it's the males in trading that when we start learning how to trade and we get a little bit underneath our belt in terms of prowess or ability, and we can become a break-even trader. That means we focus on not blowing the account, but we can find trades that make money, but then we have one or two spin outs where it takes that profit away, and we just stay around that hovering break-even time. And what happens is, as a male, we like to pretend that those losing trades don't happen, and something magical is going to happen, and they're all going to stop, and only the winning trades are going to be there. So you start putting blinders onto yourself psychologically that you are not taking losing trades that eat up all your profitable trades, and you start sweet talking yourself, and you become like this main character in a movie that you're the only star in, and there's no audience yet but just you. So you have an audience of one that you're trying to entertain and motivate because of results, and you're trying to convince yourself. Again, it's not someone external, it's not someone you're trying to impress, but you're trying to live up to some hero mentality that you've placed the weight of that being in you. So it's one of these two things. It's always these things. It's either personal pursuits to outdo what you believe you're capable of before you're able to even do it, which is unreasonable expectations. And that's many times the root core issue with men as traders. We want to be the all-star quarterback. We want to be the Super Bowl ring wearing, MVP. We want to be the main character. We want to be the guy that looks, that this is the person I want to emulate. And that's what you're trying to live up to. Or you're trying to be that person in someone else's eyes. There's no other way about it. That's the way it is. And there's no different way of interpreting it. It's just either doing it internally with yourself or you're doing it externally for someone else. But you're placing the value of what you're doing as a result in the hands of the inexperienced you, that you're lying to yourself saying that you're better than you really are right now, when you're not, because you're not giving yourself the time. You're not being patient enough to let yourself develop and grow through that break-even point. Staying around break-even is a wonderful platform to eventually become consistently profitable. There's not enough said about that, because if you see, when you first start, you're not going to do anything right. You're going to blow out all the time. And it's very hard to be encouraged by that, because you can't see any rhyme or reason as to why you should continue. Externally, your wife, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, mother, parent, whatever, coworker, they're never going to understand why anybody that isn't seeing proof to continue would even still try to do this. But once you're bitten by this, you can't let go of it. And it's worse for someone that is not pushing or projecting their self-worth to people outside themselves, and they keep it internally. They are the ones I've discovered, and that's what I kind of did that. Initially, I was trying to impress an ex-wife to try to win her back. And to be honest with you, even if she was the one to come back, what she did, I was never going to be able to accept. So it would have been a doomed relationship. So I'm thankful that it didn't happen that way. But it morphed into that. When I finally got past her, it became a me thing. And I was wanting to live up to the aptitude of a much more skilled and experienced trader than I was at the time. I had just recently started figuring things out in the chart and seeing things, and I rushed to start teaching. And I was looking for that outside, oh, wow, this is really good, this is really good. But I couldn't do the things that they were imagining I was able to do in those early years. And I wrestled with that internally. And so I tried to force things. I used to try to train bigger and more frequently, even when I didn't see something I would have expected as a buying opportunity. That's all I was doing then. I forced things because I was like, I can't stand the pain while I'm waiting to follow the model. I got to do something right now. I can't do it. And I would go into tilt too. So I'm not sure if it's like that with you per se, but I believe it's not far from that if it isn't.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. So Michael, this impulsivity, this way in which we engage with tilt, the way in which we control the impulsivity and the tilt, finding discipline, not chasing dopamine, not just trading to trade, but really focusing on a system and back testing that system and becoming familiar with what that system likes over time. I mean, you've talked so much about pattern recognition, and I don't think there's anything wrong with a community really embracing what pattern recognition and price delivery is, and just the way you've been able to communicate those patterns from, again, we're talking 2016, 2017, and it's 2024. And we're looking at mentorships of previous times and patterns and price delivery that's so unique and similar within these conditions. And I say all that to say, traders who are impulsive, traders that are desperate, traders that are coming to the chart for this external validation, how within this system or process or this business, how, Michael, can a trader overcome their selves, their own weaknesses? How can they overcome this thing that you're pointing out? Like I have this validation. I have an ex-wife. I am you, what you were saying. I can identify with every single thing you're saying. How can I overcome it? How?
I can only say what I did,
Right.
and hopefully that has some kind of a value, or at least a starting point that is, use it as a springboard to try and see if that can get you in the right direction. I'm certain it'll help help most of you, but for me, I had to focus on things that were predictable, because I was predicting that I would be successful, and my ex-wife would see that and be like, "Wow, I let go of a good guy, all around, and I want to be back with that man." That was not certain, and that's not predictable. It's not high probability. So my mind needed to latch on to something that was highly probable, and it needed to be something that was consistently reliable. So that way, like, think about it, when we're married as men, when we come home, we want our spouse to be happy that we are coming home, and see a smile on their face, run up and embrace you, and hug you and say, "Man, I have been thinking about you all day. I cannot wait to share dinner with you, and let me tell you about my day, and I can't wait to hear what you had done today." That's what we want. That means, number one, you've been missed, you're appreciated, and they want to share time with you, and they want to share their intimate moments from the day, and they can't wait to hear what you went through. That's exactly what men want. We want that. And if women gave that to us, we wouldn't do anything outside the relationship. We would be validated in and of itself. We wouldn't have all these problems as a trader, as a male. We would be content with the relationship. But I didn't have that. So I was trying to compensate with that by making money. So my mind had to be shifted to something that was predictable. And what was predictable was these PD arrays, these data points that were reliable. I could anticipate them. And I moved away from, and I migrated my expectations away from being profitable and making lots of money for the express purposes of impressing other people, being validated through the eyes and lenses of someone outside of myself. I went into the charts and saying, okay, I have to have something that's reliable. And I had built these relationships with these PD arrays where I knew at a specific time, just like a spouse would come home from work, I know I can't wait to see my wife when she comes home. I can't wait to see her. I can't wait to embrace her and kiss her and tell her I love her and missed her. I want to have dinner, and then we're going to spend our time together in the evening time. It may involve intimacy. It may not. And either way, I'm happy I'm in a relationship with her. And if I have children, I get to see them come home from school, or they may be home waiting for me, and their face lighting up when I walk through. Those are all things that we want to have experiences. They're wonderful. But when you're stripped of that, or you don't have that, or you're pursuing that type of thing, and you don't have the resources, you don't have the relationship established yet, because you aren't established as a man or a woman, and you start looking at the effects of just doing something because you feel like you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anywhere when you're not in a relationship. You're not doing anything. You're not being successful. You're not living. You're not living a successful life, not in your own eyes and not in the view of anyone outside externally. So you start forcing things to give you stimuli, because like anything else, pain is uncomfortable. And one form of pain masking another is better than just sitting in one state of pain, never doing anything about it, and you choosing to stay in it. And many times, that's that cycle we go into as a trader. We keep repeating the same thing. How many times have you impulsively blew an account? You got in there, you just simply got tired of waiting, or you didn't do the analysis. You didn't do anything. You just sat in front of the charts and you just sat there and stared, and all of a sudden you dwelled on what you're upset about. You're dwelling on a future hopeful, I hope I get the attention of this person, or I hope I get the recognition of this person in my family, or the respect or something. And then that pain, that discomfort, that very thing that causes you to feel emotionally unhinged, when that happens, you feel pain, you feel discomfort. What's the easiest way to get out of that? Distraction. And the best thing to do is give yourself distraction about whether you're going to be making money, because that is a very good pacifier. Pacifying an individual from pain with the pursuit of making money, or in deference to men, pursuit of sex. when we have the opportunity to have intimacy with the opposite sex, or if it's in your personal persuasion, the same sex, whatever it is, if you're pursuing that as a male, that's a strong, strong impulsive thing. And many young men, most of my students that have divulged a lot of these things to me, they tell me all the time that they want to make money real quick and fast because they want to feel wanted by the opposite sex. They want to be wanted. And they view having money and finding success as sexy, attractive.
That is so true to everybody, Michael. I fell a trap to that as well. I mean, preach, brother.
And I was in the same thing. That's exactly what I was doing. Like I lost my wife, and I was thinking to myself, I don't know how to date. Like I didn't. I had one woman. I slept with one woman, and I only wanted to be with one woman. And all my other friends were running around clubbing and stuff, and I just was not. It wasn't me. I couldn't do it. But I had a small period of time when I was doing it. But that was one of my worst times as a trader because I was doing everything I could to project externally that I had it all figured out, and I was hip. I was the one. And back then, the 20-year-old me, I wasn't the one, and I was doing everything wrong. But on the outside, I was projecting as if I had it all figured out because I needed someone, and it doesn't matter who it was at that time. Someone needed to tell me that they believed in me. They had faith in what I was doing was of value because I was at my lowest point. And you'll do anything and everything to get at that state of mind. And for me, it was taking big risk. I wasn't afraid of losing money. I felt it for. In fact, it became a normal function. Losing lots of money became something I was accustomed to. It's much like a very sad event where a woman stays in a relationship where she's being battered by the person she's with, abusive relationships. And they make up all these excuses that, if I leave, that means I quit the relationship. If I stay here long enough and show them that I care, they will turn it around. Well, that's what we do with our trading. We do the same thing. We abuse ourselves, beating ourselves up, causing us to lose money, and we keep saying, "I'm not going to divorce this idea of doing it wrong, because if I keep doing it, eventually, it will submit to me, and I will conquer it." But it doesn't work that way. And we keep this toxic mindset, this looping cycle over and over and over again. And you need someone outside of you that's done it the right way and found their escape from all that stuff. And that's what I try to tell you when I give you these long-winded stories, because for some of you, you probably haven't even been trading long enough to encounter that problem yet. You just started. You don't even know what it feels like to be at the mercy of your own emotions, trapped in this mental prison that you're creating for yourself, that the door is unlocked. All you got to do is step out of it. But you hold that door closed, or you're staring at it open, but you're saying, I don't deserve to walk out of here. I need to fix it this way. And when you're doing it all wrong. And it's a very complex thing, but you have to obviously strip away all these reasons that are outside yourself and focus on data. You need to focus on what it is you're pursuing, and then keep your focus on whether or not these things are reliable. Are they prompting you at the times they're supposed to? I'm talking specifically about PD arrays. Like today, what I shared today, that type of thing, it's predictable. And I found passion, I found reward, I found, I guess, accomplishment really by seeing my expectations being met with the reality in the market that is supposed to be random, that nobody knows how to predict and time the market. But now I'm sitting here in Middle River, Maryland, in an area where you're collectively white trash, and I'm walking around people. They have no idea I can do this, and it completely changed and stripped the way I see things. And that's what I want the listeners that were watching that today. I want them to feel that. That's not arrogance. That's not ego. That's not you,
No,
acting better.
Michael, one thing I want to add, and I want to just coming to the chart as your best self. And that's
Yes.
something that as we're walking through and peeling back the emotions and really trying to deal with these external factors, how we are overcoming these things to come to the chart as our best version of ourself. And And for some folks who are newer, they might not have the same emotional layers and the context that we bring to it, and the story that we bring to it. And I too can very much relate. And I know there will be older traders that too can very much identify. And then there's going to be younger folks that, I mean, it's just that they won't have that, but it's how can they become their best selves, right? Like, not these impulses that you're talking about, the choices that these people make. I mean, the woman that a young man lusts after over time, and they're trying to be a good trader, is that in their best interest? In the same way that they lust after these impulses externally, are they doing the same thing and trying to validate themselves through the chart internally, or through the market? So just wanted to pontificate, or get your thoughts and 2 cents as the younger traders, and how they can come to the chart as their best selves.
That admittedly, they're the hardest of my audience to reach, because you know how it is when you were young too. We don't listen. Look, we're not going to listen to good advice because we think that you ain't me, bro. Okay, so nobody's going to know it better than we do when we're young men. Um, my only advice that I can give is you're going to try it your way. You're going to think that you're going to be the exception to the rule, and you're going to find out very painfully, humbling, that you can't cross the humble river. Okay, and you can't get on the other side the way you're trying to do it. And if you simply give yourself more time and flexibility, and don't build up this future image of yourself, you need to build up the strong inward man or woman, and keeping the focus on you being principally oriented. You have to be rule based, and that's the only way you can manage yourself without emotion. And if you focus on things should start with this time, this price, this is what I'm only trading. I'm not going to chase another market. I don't care about gold. Everything's gold, 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 gold. Before gold, everybody was Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. There's always a big market move. And the traders that impulsively, this herd mentality, run over there, they're the most inexperienced. And that is showcasing a central tenet to people that are, number one, not mature as a speculator. The people that were running in the pits, the floor traders in the pits when they had open outcry, they was always watching big commodity market runs, soybeans going limit up, oats, cattle, whatever. They didn't turn to each other and say, you know what, guys, we got to get this S&P market, okay, and we got to go over here and start doing that. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. Why? Because they know themselves. They know their market. They know their model. Why are they going to chase something else? It's just like I gave you with the analogy with a man with a good woman, or a woman with a good man, or a good partner, whatever it is that they're for you and you're for them. Monogamous. You need to be monogamous with your model. You need to be monogamous with your expectations as the trader in development. You can't force future success faster than it's going to come. And knowing as a young man, it's harder for someone that has nothing to lose to be disciplined. You're going to be reckless. You're going to go out there and just take huge risks. You're going to pour all your money, it's like girl money. You work all week long just to blow it on a Friday night, trying to get somebody to come home and hop into bed with you. You're doing the same thing in the marketplace. You're going to throw all your money that you saved up to put in that account or spent on these funded accounts, and you're going to blow it all in one attempt just to make lottery wins. And that's your girl money trade. That's what that is. So there's really no difference. We're back to the same thing, but I don't have an answer for the young men that's beyond that, because I know what I just said wasn't going to work on me. It wasn't going to work on me because of my youth. And you have to let the youthful men hit the bottom. They have to feel pain. They got to do it wrong. And then eventually say, you know what? I'm going to be a man. I'm going to own it. This is my fault. I can't blame anybody else. I'm doing it wrong. I need to see somebody explain this in a way where it makes sense to me. And I have a rule-based idea imposed upon me, and I got to exercise discipline doing that. There's no other escaping it. That's it. They either hit rock bottom and stop, or they come in, which is rare. They come into this business very mature, very grounded, and they're going in with discipline right away. And it's very hard to find.